So now we are starting our question number 4 of guidelines answers governance topic, and it is related to risk management, which contains 20 marks. Okay, so here liquidity and solvency are altogether different. How? Liquidity and solvency both are different, and also we need to discuss the type of the liquidity risk. So yes, they both are different, two different aspects. How this will be two different aspects? Because solvency signifies that the organization to pay its debt and dues. Also, it represents the financial soundness of the organization, whereas if we talk about liquidity, risk arises due to mismatch whereas liquidity risk arises to show the financial soundness. Okay, now whereas the liquidity risk arises due to mismatch in the cash flow, that is absence of adequate funds. Now the liquidity is altogether different from the word solvency, as a firm may be sound in position as per the balance sheet, but if current assets are not in the form of cash or near cash asset, the firm may not be able to pay payment to the creditors, and this will adversely affect the reputation of the firm. Now we have types of liquidity risk, means what all other type of liquidity risk we have. There are two type of risk, basically trading risk and funding risk. So there is a trading risk and a funding risk. Now trading risk, basically it means the absence of the liquidity or enough products, securities, etc. to actually undertake to buy and sell activities. Now in this context, the securities of the trading inability to enter into derivative transaction with counterparties or to make sale or purchase of securities. Okay, मतलब sale or purchase नहीं हो सकता. Now we have a funding risk, that is refers to the inability to meet the obligations and inability to manage funds by either borrowing or sale of asset securities. It arises whereas the balance sheet of the firm contains illiquid financial assets which cannot be turned into cash with a very short time. So here in this case it is a funding risk, and it basically refers to the inability to meet the obligations, inability to manage funds by borrowing or sale of the asset securities. Okay, now we have another question that is related to here it's a kind of a practical question, like your company is running its corporate office in a rented business premises. Okay, now the landlord of the building has increased the rent of other companies, and there is 80% chance of increase in the rent of the office occupied by your company within the next year. Now if this has happened, it will cost your business an extra 5 lakh rupees over the next year. Now we need to calculate the risk value. Now the formula is for calculating the risk value is is equals to probability of the event and also the cost of event. If we put the value, probability of the event is of 80% and the cost of event is of 5 lakh rupees, then the risk value is of 4 lakh rupees. So this is the suggestive answer which they have given. Now we have another question, that is what is the systematic and unsystematic risk. Also we need to give some example. And another question, we have the relevant provision of Companies Act relating to reporting of fraud. So first is systematic and unsystematic risk, and another is reporting of fraud. So we have this question. So risk may be classified according to the controllable risk and uncontrollable risk. So what all risks are controllable and what all risks are uncontrollable? So here controllable risk called In other words, controllable risk is basically unsystematic risk, which can be controlled. So that is unsystematic risk, and systematic risk, an uncontrollable risk is of systematic risk. ठीक है, तो uncontrollable systematic and controllable unsystematic. Now the concept of systematic and unsystematic risk may be further explained here. Systematic risk is basically fully controllable by the organization. It is entirely predictable. It is usually macro in nature. It usually affects a large number of the organization and operating under the similar stream, and also it cannot be fully assessed and anticipated in advance in terms of the timely gravity. These type of risks are rate risk, market risk, purchase power risk, uncontrollable risk, force majeure we can come here, natural calamity is also can be termed here. Okay, now we have a unsystematic risk, means that all are the controllable risk. It basically impact an organization. It usually controllable by an organization. Also it is reasonably predictable, predict किया जा सकता है. It is normally micro in nature, not macro. It is micro in nature. Also, if it is not managed, it directly affect the individual organization first. So it basically affect the individual organization. It can usually be assessed well in advance with reasonable efforts, and risk mitigation can be planned with proper understanding and risk assessment technique. This type of risk could be credit risk, operational risk, compliance risk, means all the risk which can be associated within the organization and it is outside the organization. We can usually say it is the outside and it is internal. So internal we can manage somehow by improving our company's operational strategy. Now there is a reporting question. Let's read the question again. What are the relevant provisions of the Companies Act relating to the reporting of the fraud? So here it is, the last question of this video, and yes, it is important to discuss. Like it is 143 I love you 12 of the Companies Act with rule 13 of the Companies Audit and Auditors Rule. Okay, so it is related to auditors. Now it provides that if an auditor of a company in the course of its performance of its duty as an auditor has a reason to believe that an offence of fraud involving an amount of rupees 1 crore or above has been committed in the company by its officer or employee, now the officer shall report the matter to central government. अगर 1 करोड़ या उससे ज़्यादा का फ्रॉड है, then shall report the matter to the central government. Now rule 13 क्या बोलता है ऑडिट एंड ऑडिटर्स का? प्रोवाइड दैट ऑडिटर शैल रिपोर्ट द मैटर टू द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, reporting the matter to the board committee, audit committee also immediately but not later than 2 days. जब उसको पता चला उसके 2 दिन के अंदर अंदर उसको बोर्ड या ऑडिट कमेटी को बताना है, seeking their reply or observation within 45 days. Means within 45 days he needs to have his reply and what all are the things that are associated with such they need to comply it with. Now on the receipt of such reply or observation, the auditor shall forward its report. बोर्ड को ऑडिट कमेटी को बता दिया उसने within 2 days of knowledge of such fraud, and he now waiting for its their reply and also observation. Now receipt of such a reply, now if he got such reply and observation, now that auditor shall forward his report and also the reply of the observation along with its comments to the central government within 15 days from the date of receipt on such reply or observation. Now in case of auditor fails to get any reply also and not any observation from the BOD, board and audit committee within the stipulated period of 45 days, now he shall forward his report to the CG along with a note containing the details in his report. So what has happened here? First, he has communicated his words to the audit committee within 2 days after detecting such fraud. Now, after that, he was waiting till 45 days from the observation from the audit committee and board, and after seeking that report, he needs to go to the central government within 15 days of such receipt, and he need to reply to the central government. He need to inform to the central government, basically give his comment to the central government about such. Now, in case of auditor fails to get any reply and observation from the BOD committee within the stipulated period of 45 days, which we have given earlier, he shall forward his report to the CG along with a note containing the detail of his report. Means if board ने और उन्होंने कोई एक्शन नहीं लिया, then you may directly go to the central government who ROC or RD as the case may be. Now the report shall be sent to the secretary. This report shall be sent to the secretary and MCA in a sealed by registered post with acknowledgement due or speed post. Here they have said that who is the CG in this case. This report has to be given to whom? Given to the MCA secretary, and it is sealed, covered by registered post with acknowledgement due or by speed post, followed by an email in confirmation of the same. Now the report shall be on a letterhead of the auditor containing postal address, email address, contact telephone number or mobile number, and be signed by the auditor and a seal, and shall indicate his membership number. And the report shall be in the form of statement as specified in ADT form number ADT 4 need to be submitted. Okay. Now rule 13 क्या कहता है एडवांस में? और rule 13 कहता है कि further state that in case of a fraud involve less than 1 crore, then auditor shall report the matter to the audit committee, but not later than 2 days of knowledge. Similarly, 2 days. Now he shall report the matter, specifying the nature of the fraud with description, approximately amount involved, and also parties involved, and same shall not be disclosed in the board report. Now provision of क्या है इस section rule का, like it shall be mutandis apply to the cost editor, also to the secretarial auditor. ठीक है, 204 के केस में ये 204 सेक्रेटरियल ऑडिटर का है, 148 कॉस्ट ऑडिटर का है, 143 ऑडिटर का है. सो 143 इज़ फॉर ऑडिटर, उससे 5 नंबर थोड़े ज़्यादा हो गए कॉस्ट ऑडिटर के, एंड सेक्रेटरियल ऑडिटर इज़ ऑफ 204. सेक्रेटरियल ऑडिटर का तो हमें याद होना ही चाहिए. नाउ इन सच केस द पीनल प्रोविजन इज़ बेसिकली the person guilty of offence shall be punishable with fine which is not less than 1 lakh rupees, but it may extend to 25 lakh rupees. Whom is the person guilty in this case? Person guilty could be that auditor who is conducting such audit. So it is a responsible job now. So we are done with this. Now we need to discuss question number 5 and 6. We'll do it in a separate video. Thank you.